everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete here, and this is another episode in my hard debate series that I collaborate with my good friend Carlin. We are debating a wide array of topics in the horror genre, so after you watch this video, and if you haven't already, please go to Carlin's channel. I have a link in the description for you to watch his video on the same topic. And then if you'd like, he'll have a poll up on the community tab on his page for you to vote on who you thought had the better argument. Was it him, was it me, and there also is a tie option. Also, please let us know in the comments below what your stance on the topic is. We love hearing from you. I know he reads every single comment, as do I. And so this week we are discussing what is the most underrated horror franchise. But before I start, I want to say one thing I enjoy about doing this series with Carlin is that we both want to show that people can disagree on a topic and still get along with each other. You know, these are opinions, and opinions really can't be wrong. I mean, we all see things differently, and that's what makes life so interesting. There's no right or wrong answer when it comes to these topics. We're just giving our opinions, and we try and back them up. If you agree, that's great. If you disagree, that's great as well. That's why we love hearing what your stance is on these topics in the comments down below, and we love getting responses from everybody. Well, that should wrap it up. So let's talk about what I feel the most underrated horror franchise is. I feel one of the most underrated horror franchise is that Adam Green's Hatchet series. I recently covered all these films on my Nails in a Coffin series, and I had a lot of fun covering them. All these movies are pretty close in quality. They got great gore, awesome cameos from across the horror genre. And like the tagline says in the original film, old school American horror. And that is true for this entire franchise. While it might have gained widespread recognition, I think it still managed to find an audience that appreciates this franchise's unique blend of horror and comedy. If you like 80s slashers such as Friday the 13th films and The Burning, you should enjoy the Hatchet franchise. Now, Adam Green wrote all four movies, and he directed all of them except for Part 3, which was directed by B.J. McDonald. These movies are his child, so when you get that, is you get great continuity and quality. Adam Green also directed the movie Frozen, which is also a very underrated thriller. B.J. McDonald, who directed Hatchet 3, he directed numerous videos for metal bands like Slayer and Exodus. Hatchet 3 was my favorite of the quadrilogy, so because I felt like it was almost like a music video for a metal band, so I can see the influence from BJ. If you are unfamiliar with this franchise, it's got a pretty basic story, but it's executed very well. There's a monster of a man named Victor Crowley who's hideously deformed, and he's got superhuman strength. He's got nigh invulnerable healing factor like Wolverine or Deadpool. I mean, he reformed his entire body after being split in half vertically. The first film in this series does an excellent job in setting up the story. You get some backstory, but not so much that there isn't some left to grow. So Victor Crowley was born from an affair his father had with his terminally ill wife's nurse. Before his wife died of stomach cancer, she places a curse on the offspring. So this child was born deformed, and his mom actually dies when she sees him for the first time. His dad raises him, and when he's a kid, Victor is accidentally killed by his father with the hatchet. It's in the title. When a prank went awry and the cabin was caught on fire. His pops later died of a broken heart after he accidentally killed his son, and his father was played by Kane Hodder. So it is a tragic backstory, and I feel it's up there with the backstory of Jason Voorhees. There are some similarities there. And so now, pretty much, Victor Crowley, he haunts the swamp looking for his daddy. So with the subsequent movies, we learn a little bit more about who's responsible for the prank that resulted in Victor's death. And the first three movies actually take place all over one weekend, and that gives this franchise solid continuity. The kills in this movie are brutal, and I love them. People are ripped in half, chopped up in pieces, they're held and pulled open like a can of tuna, heads are crushed, limbs are ripped off, spines are ripped out with their heads still attached, bodies crushed, there's impaling. It's all over the place. And the brutal kills are really great because it's mostly practical effects, and that's always going to be a bonus. What I loved about this franchise and why I feel it's underrated is it's a throwback to 80s slashers with a story that's easy to follow with great gory practical effects. That's my bread and butter from horror. I love that genre of horror films. And I cannot forget to mention the cameos throughout all four of these films. Many icons in horror are showcased in these movies. You have Kane Hodder, Tony Todd, Robert England, John Carl Beekler, Derek Mears, Sid Haig, R.H. Milahoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, the lovely Danielle Harris, Caroline Williams, and it is said she's actually playing her role from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Stretch. So after those events from Texas Chainsaw 2, she became a reporter. She did have a cameo in Texas Chainsaw Part 3. Then she moved and changed her name, and she wanted to follow other legends of killers. So that's pretty cool the way they wrote that in there. So technically, Hatchet is in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe's timelines. You also get cameos from Felissa Rose, Zach Galligan, Tom Holland. What the? No, not that one. The director, and Lloyd Kaufman. So while the franchise may not have reached mainstream success, I think it's garnered a dedicated cult following. Cult films often have, and this one does, passionate fans who appreciate the movie's unique qualities, and I think they like to champion their merits, leading to discussions about why it's so underrated. So, in closing, if you're going to pick an underrated franchise, I think you want one with excellent practical effects, a memorable villain, innovative kills, a lovely mix of comedy in each film, and I think what puts this franchise over the top is the continuity is solid, the story is interesting without being convoluted, all the characters are different since there's various personalities throughout the movies. All the movies are pretty consistent in quality. There's no stinkers in the bunch like, yeah, that one sucks. So it's only four, but all four movies are pretty darn good. And I feel like all this makes Adam Green's Hatchet a solid choice for the most underrated horror franchise. Thanks for watching. Please go to Carl's channel, link in the description below, watch his video on the same subject. And then if you feel so inclined, you go to the community tab on his page for vote for who you thought had the better argument. Don't forget to let us know in the comments down below what you think the most underrated horror franchise is. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate it. And remember, there's no right or wrong answers. That's why I love to hear in the comments down below what you believe the most underrated horror franchise is. Because I love hearing and reading about other people's opinions on horror movies. I can learn from other stuff. Maybe I can get a better appreciation for other people love about horror movies. And if I can give somebody out there who's not too familiar with the Hatchet franchise a chance to go see these movies, they may love them, they may hate them. Doesn't really matter as long as I get to introduce new horror films to people they may not have had a chance to check out before, because I felt it was underrated. And for me, Hatchet is right up there. So really appreciate it again. If you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I think it can be done with your help, so please feel free to share this video around as well. Thanks again, everybody. I really do appreciate every single view I get. I read all the comments, and I know Carlin does as well. Thanks again, everybody. Stay safe. Be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. And remember that with great kills, there must always come great nows.